Welcome everybody to our latest episode of our webinar series, A Hai Study. Today we are here at the site for CDW over in Rugby, United Kingdom. I'm joined here today by the lovely Stephen Hill and the lovely Jared Storey from Milestone Projects. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Welcome. We have been honoured to be able to be recording this session at the site where behind our guests we've got our HiPeak System 1 is running in the background, and we've got a few robots that you'll be able to see throughout the show. So let's jump into it. I want to introduce myself as well. So I'm Nikil, the country manager for Hai Robotics and the current representative for all UK opportunities. And I'm actually really impressed and proud to be here today, because one of the first signature projects that we've signed in the United Kingdom was for the first 12-meter solution in Europe, in fact. So this is, you won't be able to see all of that in this shot right now, but we'll be able to provide some videos and images throughout the series. So today we want to begin with CDW, and let's have a little introduction. So obviously myself and Jared know CDW quite well. It's a huge company, but it's not a typical household name. So for the benefit of our guests and our listeners, would you be able to tell us a little bit about CDW, please?
Of course. CDW, we are the world's largest IT solutions and services provider, and we empower our customers and we're powered by our people. What we do is we work with our customers to get an idea at the start of it, we solutionize it, we implement it, and then we support it afterwards. Basically put, we make technology work so people can do great things.
Fantastic, that's amazing. How long have you been with CDW?
I've been with CDW just shy of 18 years now.
Wow, okay. And have you seen a lot of changes throughout your time here?
I have seen a lot of changes. When I started, CDW turned over about £100 million in the UK, and we've now grown massively over that. There was 100 people working for the company. We're now up at about 1,600 people.
Amazing. See, it is a large company. So again, really impressive stuff. What we'd like to understand as well is CDW's involvement in automation as well. So we appreciate when this site was first around and you're currently operating, it was very manual intensive, correct?
Yeah, our previous site was manual intensive and had no automation at all. We were very proud to have some very basic belt conveyors that just went backwards and forwards. That's all we did to get rid of our boxes. And then we had the opportunity to move into our current site, which is one that we're sat in today, and this opportunity gave us the chance to move to automation and go from something that was really basic to something that we work with our people on. So that's one of the key things we look for: automation to help our people, not to replace it.
Fantastic. And that's a beautiful segue, because you need a partner to be able to take that step in moving in and transitioning in there. So let me ask if an introduction from Jared, actually, this is where you come into the equation. Milestone Projects.
Yeah, so with regards to CDW, we spoke, started working on some more of a consultative approach. We had a look at your existing operation, very manual, like Steve said, perfectly functional.
It worked,
it definitely did. I mean, look, you don't get to that level of growth without having a functioning system, and having the warehouse is just one part of that. There were some improvements that were immediately obvious, I think, to everybody. And there were some other things as well that we needed some additional validation on. So we spent quite a bit of time going through different steps, different levels of design, different proposals. That's why we came to Hai. We looked at other systems as well as Hai. But Hai, for this particular customer and for this particular application, was the right fit at the right time. And at the time, having the 12-meter application for you guys as well really meant we were sweating the asset for CDW and getting most bang for our buck out of that square. We did not want to put in a ASRS system that we were storing air above the rack.
And that's great. How you're able to identify that opportunity as well. And before we kind of deep dive into the solution that we've worked on in partnership, can you tell us a little bit of your background and how Milestone came about?
Yeah, so I'm an engineer by trade. So I'm the CEO of Milestone Projects. So I'm founder, CEO, all that kind of stuff. So we've grown quite a bit since we started it in 2022. But yeah, mechanical engineer by trade. Very engineering mindset still.
Very hands-on.
Very hands-on. Always. I can't help it. I can put a shirt on, but I can't help myself. But yeah, we focus on helping customers pretty much like CDW really, going from manual solutions, maybe less optimized solutions, working with the customer, really getting under the skin of the business, understanding what they're actually trying to achieve, and then we find a route to do that. We do our own in-house simulations, our own in-house drawings. We do a lot of bespoke systems, bespoke applications on existing tested systems. We're very engineering heavy company. So we try to test and validate as much as we possibly can before we get on the site. We did very similar with CDW as well. Do a lot of offline testing. We do a lot of emulated testing in emulated environments, WMS comms, all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, to make it as low risk and as beneficial as possible, we try our best to be as respectful as possible. That to us, automation is everything. To a customer, it is part of a larger puzzle, so that they can go and deliver what they need to deliver as a business and to their end users.
And I think that's great, because I think up front you were able to identify sort of any key risks and make that sort of first step into automation as risk averse as possible, highlighting any areas just so everything's kind of covered off and you're providing that turnkey solution for CDW, right?
Yeah, and then I think the turnkey for this is quite important as well, because CDW moving into a new building whilst still running at pace with their existing operation. What we tend to find with customers that are going through a similar process is that they're not having conversations with us because they're struggling for things to do on a daily basis. It's because they have a business case to their operation has reached its capacity or is nearing its capacity, and they're like, okay, what do we do next? What we can't do is go on and shut the operation down and then I'll call you in a year when it's in. We have to work together step by step, phase by phase. Transition plans, testing plans, installation, sectional completion when we do the build. For this particular building, as part of our turnkey, I don't know how well you can see it out the window.
And one robot.
But the building was stripped out, so it had sort of manual racking in it all the way through. So that was all stripped out. All the floor was made good. You've got sprinkler systems, or the lighting systems were changed to the latest energy efficient and aligned with the racking aisles. You have the power distribution, sprinkler system. We had all the mezzanines, fit out of the mezzanines, ceilings of the mezzanines. So really keeping that all in one place and one turnkey program really allows us to be much more efficient with how we can phase release that to the customer. Because they're all our people, they're all our designers. It's all part of the same conversation. So we can release operational areas as they become available and phase our program in such a way that CDW can then on their back end, this is how we're going to transfer. Okay, we're going to transfer these products first, and then we're going to start serving these customers at the new shed. But then these, faster moving products we might bring in a little bit later. So it's not just about the automation. It never is. It's about how do we get from where we are today to a point where the customer is running with as higher availability as possible with their new system. Everybody is trained, and their customers are getting everything that we promised them.
Brilliant. Hai Robotics was engaged by Milestone and Jared. I personally was working on this project, in fact, in a solution design capacity. So we had a lot of conversations very, very early on. And we struck a really good relationship. And what I enjoyed about working with Jared and his team as well is their sympathy for the customer and their understanding of their operation, but also the level of detail in regards to maximizing the footprint, what we could achieve in the limited footprint that we have within this building as well. And that really led to a fantastic solution where we were able to utilize our 12-meter Hypex System 1. And we've got it behind us here today as well. part of that journey was one of the big stepping stones for Hai Robotics in the UK. Previously, we had a few reference sites delivered from our headquarters team to some of our local Chinese partners as well. But this was a great sort of flag in the ground to say, look, Hai Robotics being in partnership with a local UK integrator. And in the delivery of this project, we've been able to see what a perfect example of a CE certified or UKCA certified solution would look like. And there's been a huge amount of lessons learned from Hai Robotics as well, with the experience of the team and of CDW as well, of understanding their operations. And yeah, we see this as one of many moving on in the future. We do have a few other references in the UK as well. This is a little prompt of some of the projects that we've been working on. We've got over 100 projects in EMEA that have been worked on and deployed. We've got around 6 in the UK so far that are going to be a few more coming online towards the end of this year as well. So what really triggered this project? We would love to know. So how did the first conversation kind of come about with Jared?
So with Jared, we were looking at a way to store our smalls in an efficient and small space and be able to get it delivered to our people. Mm-hmm. In our old side, we had what we call our storage towers, which are very similar to the old carousel style, except you can call the shelves out in the order you want to.
Yeah.
But then it's still relied on people to go, call the shelf, stand there while it's got there, really slow.
Very manual.
Very manual. So we got the benefit of the capacity, mm-hmm. but we didn't gain speed. So we needed a way to get our small stock out and delivered to our people, mm-hmm. as opposed to having someone waiting there and then someone else delivering it to a person, someone else moving it, someone then bringing back what's not used, getting rid of all those touch points. So that is where we started off the conversation, and we needed something that went up as high as possible.
Yeah. And
most of the people we spoke to said 6, 8, 10 metres, which when we needed to go as high as possible, 12 metres gave us the extra 6, or it turned out about 3,000 storage locations.
Fantastic. Storage and real estate in general in this warehouse industry is the name of the game. So maximizing the amount of locations we can store within a footprint really helps our customers out, and it's glad to hear that there's some benefit here as well. Also, scalability. Well, one of the things as well, being able to grow with you guys, and especially not just from a storage capacity, but from a performance level, we've got some built-in capacity as well. So hopefully in the future, if the requirements go ahead, we can grow with you guys effectively.
Yeah, we've got additional space that if we needed to allocate, we could move a bit of other parts of the operation, so we could expand the racking out a bit further. And put additional robots in to get things in and out quicker, and also additional aisles, additional in-feed and out-feeds, yeah. Which is where we think the pinch point might come in 4 or 5 years down the line.
Yeah, no, totally understood. Because that's always the key thing, is understanding the bottlenecks within the system as well. And where we pride ourselves from a Hai Robotics solution is that we've got multiple robots. We try to remove that single source of bottleneck, but can ultimately it will always be the interface out of the system or into the system effectively, such as a conveyor belt, for example. Okay, so we've probably got some more information and a little summary of what we were able to deliver. I think it is. Yeah, it's a CDW one.
Yeah, it's cool. I've seen cutscenes before.
So this is an overview of the Hai Robotics system, but obviously, like we mentioned, Jared's team at Milestone provided the full turnkey solution for the area. So appreciate this is just let's say the picking engine effectively for you guys. But Jared, would you be able to tell us a little bit more about what else is included within the automation here?
Yeah, so I think before I do that, I think it's important to note that we went live on this site beginning of last year, mm-hmm. right? And one of the most impressive things about CDW since going live, I think, is their commitment to continuous improvements, upgrades and enhancements. And that isn't just rip everything out and start again every 6 months. It's gradual, small changes, little layout changes, little changes to HMI interfaces, user interfaces, the way that operators interact with the system, routing changes. As we've as we watch this system come live and grow, Steve's been really good to always keep a focus over dedicated. I would call it.
Many hours just watching the conveyor.
Absolutely, just dedicated to try and squeeze every piece of efficiency out of that system. Not every customer does that.
Okay.
And it takes a serious amount of commitment to do that. And we rely on our customers to do that, because we are here, and on this particular site, we have our resident engineers here to look after the system, but they are not focused on the operation. They are, in truth, they are focused on making sure that the system doesn't stop ever.
Yeah.
Okay. So to have a customer that comes to us and says, right, okay, I want to investigate this, I want to investigate that. What's going to happen if I do this? How do I solve this? So yes, we can. I'll talk about what that meant to us from a design perspective, from a project implementation perspective.
Yeah.
I think it would be equally, if not more, interesting as well for Steve to chip in, maybe to tell us after that what changes you've made as a result of actually running it in real life. That would be quite cool.
Yeah.
So for us, items come in on our conveyor system. So standard decant operation, our decant bench. We decant items into totes. Totes then get put away into the high system. The high is your storage retrieval machine.
Yep.
And then we are pulled out, and then it can get picked. Originally, we could get picked at the pick stations that you can't see, but you might see it and insert later on some video.
Yeah. What the magic?
So we've got a pick station down there, and then the idea was that we could have multiple destinations for that pick tote to complete a pick for different areas in the warehouse. Mm-hmm. We have a mezzanine over there for config, which is fully manual for CDW. So we have server rooms and everything down there that we installed, all the power and everything for that. Okay. Underneath there, that's it's a very high spec mezzanine, I think it's fair to say, in there. Especially the fit outside underneath.
The fit outside underneath.
Which is a massive value add for CDW's business. So, they're not an IT reseller. And I think that giving CDW a bit of a disservice.
Yeah.
They are kind of a bespoke kind of maker of
solutions provider.
Yeah, it's a solution.
When we originally started looking at exploring the project, I think we started out around the 10,000 storage location mark, but the continuous improvement and the ways of working with our partner as well really made us sweat the asset, or really optimize the space that was given to us, so we can optimize that as much as we could. We also provided 11 of the high pick A42 ACRs, handling the customer supplied totes as well. And we were committed to initially around 300 tote movements per hour, and that's how we started off with our design, basically. But as we moved forward, we again worked on optimizing the system a little bit better, with collaboration with our partner, of course. Okay, so what we've got here, and this really solidifies how much work up front goes into these projects, just so we can reduce the amount of risk, of course, as well, is how we validate our designs. And that's the key thing for us, is simulation, not only for Hai, but for our partners as well, for the amount of scope that they're covering, basically. So even though our responsibility is handing over totes to conveyor points at 300 an hour, there is still a much bigger picture here. So I know, Jared, you've kind of touched upon what it is that you've been able to provide, even in accommodating the value-added services as well. But for this material flow, you and CDW work quite closely together to understand the operation and which layout would benefit them the most.
Yeah, I think it's important, especially before we freeze designs and start any kind of manufacturing of systems, to really pre-validate. I have this thought and conversation lots of times where I'd much rather solve a problem on a simulation screen than with 150 people on site with toolboxes waiting for somebody to make a decision, right? So I'm always been a massive believer on proving as much out as possible before there's physical product. And this job was no different. CDW's data was provided, and we worked through that through different workshops as part of our standard process. We do level 1 design, level 2 design, and we start nailing down different subsystems. The important thing, it is not unique to CDW, where the business is unique, but from a material flow is not unique, because we always fold in the manual elements of the customer's operation into the simulation.
Yeah.
Because what we really want to understand is not just how the mechanics perform. We want to understand what different impacts, different situations, scenarios, risks, whatever happens on the business. What if 10 people don't turn up? What if this conveyor section goes down? What if it takes you twice as long to process a decant delivery? What if it takes you half as long? And then all of a sudden, what happens if? And you're never going to be able to get through absolutely every possible outcome ever.
No.
As part of a simulator, but you can get pretty bloody close.
Yeah. You can paint all these different scenarios to be prepared for.
You can really start to de-risk it. And
Correct. And I think that's such an important point that should not be overlooked as well. As much detail as we can get up front, the best we can help you out to be able to optimize it as much as possible. So no, fantastic point there. All right. So whilst I'm on this slide as well, and we touched upon simulation as part of the validation as well, I just want to put a key point as well. That's one of the core elements for a high robotic solution as well. We would not want to commit to a solution unless we had the full validation by simulation. That's key for us to be able to sign off our fleet size. If we were to turn up to site and we were promising CDW and a milestone, say, okay, you need X amount of totes per hour, this is the fleet size, we turn up to site and that's not achieved, it's on Hai Robotics to be able to make sure and ensure that we bridge that gap as well. So that's how confident we are within our simulation process and validation, basically.
One of the interesting things for me, anyway, and I find odd things interesting, so forgive me if it's not that
The odder the better.
Usually, right, customers who have ASRS systems will have some kind of ABC categorization.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Yeah. And so, and one of the things that Hai does really well is ABC categorization, where you will automatically have an assignment in the master data from the client WMS, and you will say, okay, this is an A mover, this is a B mover, C mover, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you will have storage, put away logic, that kind of stuff. CDW, although has all of the seasonal peaks and stock holding and everything that you would expect in a traditional customer, they have no ABC categorization at all. Because of the nature of the business, they are not holding stock to be called off on a sale. They are holding stock specifically for a customer. We already discussed is that everything is bespoke, right? So you have to send that item to that particular customer because it is absolutely bespoke for that, almost to the individual level.
Yeah.
So what you're going to get called off, although you can kind of look at a global trend and say, right, I'm going to go up 30% in this period, you're not going to know what that is.
Yeah.
You're just, you could get a call and say, right, okay, those 100 laptops you've not moved for 6 months, right? They're all coming out tomorrow.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, so and that's one of the challenges from a throughput perspective, from a simulation perspective, from a modeling perspective.
Yeah.
We can't rely on ABC movers, so we have to use a chaotic picking put away model for our simulations. Now, from an operational point of view, there may be kind of little things you can do and what and little
individual projects,
but on the whole, you can't rely.
There's not a trend. There's not a fixed trend. So and what we worked on together as well is this random and chaotic storage element, which really is one of the strength points of a high robotic solution. Some of the other products on the market really do rely on a heavy sort of Pareto, or let's say an 80-20 sort of.
Anything that requires digging.
Yes, correct.
Not naming anything, but I mean, if anything that requires digging, so whether it's more than double deep, or whether it's digging from your storage cube, unless you have really strong ABC categorization, really strong data, then it becomes more and more challenging. the high system in that regard does lend itself well to that that particular type of custom. Sorry. More so than others on the market. And going back to one of your previous questions, I didn't mention it, but it is true. That was one of the biggest attractions for us anyway, speaking with yourself and seeing the systems and understanding that from a flow and from a simulation perspective. It's like, okay, I'm never going to have to dig more than a bin out. And most of the time, we can probably pair SKUs.
And the strength of this solution as well is in, yes, we are double deep behind this, which is what you can see. But the beauty of the ACR and the Hypix System 1 is that if we were to do any digging, there is not necessarily a huge amount of relocation because we have the back trays on the back of the robot, so we can extract from the front of the shallow pig face, store it locally on the robot, and then extract the deep tote basically.
It's seconds to dig.
Yeah.
Any tote from any location, even if everything in the system was unpaired SKUs. So by that I mean one SKU behind is different, so there's SKU in front, so you're trying to get the one at the back.
Yeah.
You can do that in place, and it's this one single cycle for a robot rather than multiple cycles, and it can get very intensive for the fleet.
Yes.
To manage that, because everything you dig out, you then have to move out of the way, whereas you can manage that with one cycle on a robot, which is quite helpful.
So that's a really good example of the flexibility of the system as well. And when we started the project, like I mentioned as well, like 300 totes an hour in operation. And I know you guys have been working in the background to kind of improve and really sweat the asset. What type of rates are you achieving at the moment?
Well, we tend to achieve around the 300 hour mark, but during our busiest periods when we've had to call a lot of totes out and put them away quickly, we've reached 380, 390. So we've exceeded where we have been to, where we've been guaranteed, but we need to continue pushing that and trying to get more and more.
Fantastic. Really good stuff. Okay. So
the customer is running the system pretty much consistently at peak flow.
Okay.
And has been for a year.
So that's really good testament to the amount of resilience that we've got in the system as well, and testament to the efforts behind the scenes from our partners and customers working hand in hand to optimize and sort of the asset. And appreciate how many nights you spent looking at the system, watching these things run as well. But it's inspiring.
We monitor the availability of that quite closely, don't we?
Yeah. Milestone monitor, make sure everything goes through smoothly. That's what the IMT's on the floor for. And I, without sounding sad, love standing there watching the robots, as we say, dance. Because the way they move is so graceful, as well as doing what they do. And then watching totes move around the system sounds really boring, but I absolutely love it.
Not at all. I'm going to ask if I can make this a permanent office so I can look outside these windows.
It is cool, isn't it?
It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So no, that's really good.
This was actually our site office during the build as well. In the first part.
Okay.
While we were doing the internal strip out, wasn't it?
Yeah. So before these walls were all built, it was just one big office.
Yeah. We fitted these. We did these.
Yeah.
But we built these offices as well.
They've done a fantastic job here over at this site as well, and even entering the building, how it's been designed, it's like it's perfectly just for a tour. You forget that there is a commercial operation going on. It feels like a little bit of a showroom, in fact, and that's to the level of precision in the layout and detail engineering, and also the operation as well, keeping everything so clean to such a fantastic standard.
And that is absolutely key for us, because we want to bring our customers, we want to show them what we do, and if a customer comes in, sees what we do, has confidence in it, we're more likely to become a good partner to them, rather than saying, no, you can't come and see what we do, it's all hidden behind it. Everything is open.
It's brilliant, and there's that truth and transparency about it. They can kind of trust everything that they're seeing as well, and the availability. I think that's such a key point as well that we shouldn't really skip over. So that's going to be one of the key things for you. What we try to do at Hai Robotics is empower our partners to get them trained up as much as possible. So when it comes to the maintenance side of things, I know Jared's team's doing a fantastic job here. Would you be able to tell us a little bit more about your site team and how you're looking after the system after go live?
So at the end of any project that we do, we have a hypercare period.
Yeah.
So that's not chargeable to the customer, whether they go with their own support or whatever. We will always hypercare it, mainly because we want to make sure that we can get the availability that the system is capable of before we walk away from site. So we always use the same project team rather than bringing a third-party team to do that.
Okay.
We just run that past acceptance to the point where we can achieve the availability that we want. And then the way that works for us is that we have our own MMS system, which you guys have access to as well.
Yeah.
And then every asset is logged in our MMS system.
Mm-hmm.
We manage all the spares as well. So our guys on site manage all the spares. So every asset has a list of items or spares or parts within that asset. So we know what we hold, we know what we don't hold. We know what quantities we have. So, we have resident guys here. But if you don't have a resident site, for instance, we still have the MMS system, so we know what the customer is holding and what we need to bring with us. With an engineer in a van, if we need to attend site, without any communication from the customer, because all of the faults automatically go through to our MMS. So the customer here can log tickets yourself. You have QR codes that you can scan, you can put up, or scan it, and it will just type in your thing and it'll send it off automatically. Or you can go directly into the system, or you could
just go and speak to our
or you can just go.
majority of
You
the
have the added benefit of going and grabbing whoever's walking around in your toy.
Can you fix this, please?
Why is that making that noise?
The benefits of having someone locally on site, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And without, I don't want to get into too much detail about how the maintenance system runs, but we try to keep it as clear and as well logged, and every detail is always logged. If somebody goes to, Steve said to someone, go and have a look at this,
right?
For instance, just to use the example, we will always log that as a ticket. We will always take photos of it. We'll take videos of it. We'll log what parts we will use. We'll log any changes. We will then go through the history. When was the last time somebody looked at this? Okay, we had preventative maintenance on here a month ago. Okay, what does the photo look like from the preventative maintenance? What parts were replaced? Is there any difference between this and this that I should be aware of? Is it got more build up on it? Is there something that we can do? And if that's we have it built into the system as well. If we're having, say, a conveyor bed, for instance, a handover to a high, right? If we're getting continuous call outs to that, we do have AI built into the system as well that will learn how many tickets on that asset is too much.
So Jared mentioned that you guys have been working together on sort of continuous improvements or upgrades as well. Would you be able to give us any examples of what you've been changed and improved?
Well, one of my favourite ones, and again, I'm a bit sad, is from standing and watching it, we've got our conveyor belt split into 3 areas. We've got the main circulation where stuff goes in and out of high, and then we've got where totes delivered to the packing station, and then we've got the delivery to our couriers. And we noticed that where the high loop met the packing station loop, there was a lot of congestion there, because we had totes going around the system and then totes being looped onto it, and we don't want to get congestion anywhere. So we put this simple 1 meter bit of conveyor belt, 3 tote positions back from the edge of the loop, and we said, right, if we don't need to go onto that pack station loop, you go across that way, and if you do need to go that way, you go that way, and it improved the throughput from that loop by 20%. Just that 1 meter bit of conveyor.
Nice. We've got a bypass.
Yeah, it's just a bypass. Other things that we've done is we've based the IMTs, they've got their own little area right by the HMI. Now, which is fantastic if they're stood there and they can see the HMI, because first thing you want to look at is where have I got a blockage on a conveyor belt. But the HMI is all in one static position. So if they're at the other end of the warehouse, at the other end of the conveyor belt, they can't see what's going on and what's going on there. So we've had it upgraded so that we have the HMI repeated onto 3 iPads. 2 in fixed positions to make it so that anybody can use it, and then 1 portable one. Again, simple solution, but it just saves minutes each time, and those minutes really add up if you get a blockage somewhere. And again, you don't want to have to walk from the HMI or from the corner of the warehouse to the HMI to another corner of the conveyor belt, clear the blockage, back to the HMI to press start when you do that on the move as you are.
Brilliant.
And then finally, one of the things that we worked with High on was that we noticed that when we were feeding in, Hai was trying to be as efficient as possible, and it wouldn't send a robot to come and collect the totes on when it was being fed in.
Right.
But when it had a robot bringing totes out in 2 or 3 minutes' time.
Yep.
Now we noticed that standing there and having totes filled up for 2 or 3 minutes was causing a delay. So we've logged it with Milestone. They've raised a ticket with yourselves, and then you've worked to do it so that as soon as a tote is seen on there, that it sends a robot to come and get it, which is slightly less efficient from the Hai position.
Yep.
But it just means that our conveyor belt stays clearer for longer and gets totes in and out a lot quicker.
Fantastic. So, and that's great feedback. What we typically do in Hai is working in double cycles. So we'll try and pair the missions together for the inbound and the outbound. But the more data we have, the more understanding we have of the operation as well. This is how we can optimize it and really sweat the asset, especially in combination with Milestone as well. So that's a great example. And now being able to do with that upgrade as well and that software change, you're achieving the operation exactly how you want it.
Yeah, it's going a lot better.
Fantastic. That's really good stuff. Okay. Right. So we have been nominated for an award in the Supply Chain Excellence Awards and a few others with Milestone as well. We're hoping in 2026 we can do some more of this together as well. And if you wanted to come and see us and say hello, we are going to be at Logimat this year, booth 3A03 over in Stuttgart. Our team will be there to be able to host you. Really excited to come and show you, and I think we're going to be having our Hypic Heim over on display as well. So please come on over. We'd love to welcome you. And I want to say a massive thank you to Stephen and for Jared for being able to have us here today and be able to record in this fantastic studio with the robots behind us. Great. Thank you very much, everybody.